We'll proceed now, and we have, beginning with Congressman Cohen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me ask, we started off, first let me say what I think is correct. Ambassador Herbst, did you say that Congress moved the administration along to get the security bill passed?
No, what I was referring to, they said that the bill that was passed encouraged the administration to send a long-range attack. Now, of course, the administration sent.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the security package. I thought you said that Congress had done some things, and one of the things they did is they helped the administration get that. Regardless, the administration was for it. Congress was slow, and if it weren't for Congress, we could have got that done 3 months earlier. Okay, good. Pass with that on.
Y'all agree?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We started off with sanctions. Do you think the sanctions worked?
I don't have any doubt that the sanctions have cost the Russian economy 2 or 3% of the growth per year, and perhaps a little bit less over time as Moscow has adjusted to it, and Moscow's palace has adjusted. What it has not done, of course, is force Putin to end the war. There's a lot of controversy about statistics regarding Russian economic growth. People say, quoting the IMF and the World Bank, say Russian economy grew 4 to 3% last year. The problem with that, those statistics, is it's actually based on Russian economics. And Russia puts out statistics designed to meet the political needs of the government.
Kind of like Hamas in Palestine saying how many children have been killed every week. Yeah.
UN ridiculously accepted as real.
Well, last week the UN said that they were not right, and there were about 5,000 people that they said were dead. They have no conclusion are dead, and that the children were greater number than ever. The New York Times just hadn't picked up on that yet.
Indeed.
Yeah. But anyway, so sanctions, do you think they've helped?
Correct.
Nevertheless, they were not the panacea. They didn't effectively kill the Russian.
But the advocates for sanctions were not saying they would be a panacea. They would say they would place an immediate and a long-term cost. Perhaps the most effective of the sanctions, although not as effective as we would like, have been the technology control sanctions. They have clearly made it much harder for Moscow to develop weapons, or rather to produce weapons which are effective. But of course, they're finding ways around it, especially with help from China.
And I agree with you. We need to allow Ukraine to use weapons to go into Russia. It makes no sense them coming and destroying all of the utilities, energy sources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Ukraine's got their hands tied behind their back. Putin's not thinking nicely of us. We give $60 billion. He's going to think, oh, but we let them shoot weapons into Belgorod or whatever it's called.
There's no doubt about that. We all of us agree on it. But I would just note that when the House finally passed the aid package, a lot of people in Moscow were unhappy, and they didn't hide it.
I'm sure they were unhappy. Now, let me ask you this. We passed the aid package. We need to get them weapons on the front line to protect Kharkiv and areas on their eastern front, but at the same time, we need to get them Patriot missiles and defensive missiles. Do we have any idea what's been prioritized and what hasn't?
Sadly, we're providing merely missiles for Patriot batteries as opposed to batteries themselves.
Oh.
I think I'm not an expert on this, but I believe we have like 19 or 20 Patriot batteries ourselves. I don't know if we believe we can spare that. Some of those are protecting our troops in the Middle East, so that's work that has to be done. They need to be there. We know that some of our allies who are not under any danger right now have 1 or 2 or 3 which could be provided.
Yeah,
I think the
Romania
administration
offers,
is stronger pushing for that.
I think it was Romania offers some of their batteries, but it was one of the Eastern Bloc countries. But Mr. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on that about the ability to get them batteries or Patriot missiles, defensive missiles?
Yes, sir. The most important near-term thing we could do, Spain has a Patriot battery in Turkey. It's been there for a long time. We could get the Spanish to move that into Ukraine, and then we could put one of our batteries there, which helps us in the Middle East with the problem Ambassador Herbst was talking about. That we could do fairly quickly.
Thank you. Thank you. I just appreciate what has been done. Are you from Russia?
No, I'm not. I'm an American, and I grew up in Ukraine.
You grew up in Ukraine. Okay, well, there was something in there, your biography, that made me think about that, and I was just thinking about Vladimir Kara-Murza and how much he's still imprisoned, and we need to get him free, and it's awful. I mean, Russia just, thank you. You bet.
I don't want to ruin Congressman Cohen's reputation, but he was thinking about Kara-Murza, and I was thinking of Alexei Navalny. So there are brave Russians. And so with this, we now proceed to, and this is bipartisan, bicameral. And so we're so grateful to have Senator Richard Blumenthal, Connecticut. Y'all are familiar with that. It's the nutmeg state.